Tonight on GamePoints 379, Insomniac and Rocksteady both suffered devastating leaks, The Last of Us 2's online feature seems to be cancelled, and a famous voice actor passes away. All that and more in just a moment, but first I invite everyone watching to join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns you might have. I want to know what you guys think out there as well, regardless of where you're watching, be it either live or later at any Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, etc. Go ahead and move on to our very first story here. This is via cyberdaily.au. The link to this and all the stories that we'll be talking about will be posted down below in the description. Rocksteady dumps more than a terabyte of Insomniac Games' internal data. Now, for those of you who might recall, last week we talked about how Insomniac suffered a ransomware attack from this Rocksteady hacker group, and they claim to have stolen significant amounts of information, mostly about Insomniac, but some about Sony as well. Now, for those of you concerned about potential spoilers of an upcoming game or like that, we won't be showing any screenshots, nor will we be showing any personal data from the employees working at Insomniac or Sony. But we will be discussing what was found within these leaks, so just keep that in mind. If you're the kind of person that is big into marketing hype and want to be surprised of what Insomniac has coming out over the next decade or so, I recommend you turn away now. Otherwise, sit back and we'll go over some of the bigger things that were found in this massive leak. I will also go ahead and say that this leak happened only a few hours ago as of time of this recording, and it is terabytes of data. So we've only found the tip of the iceberg as the internet is flying through it to find any piece of information they can. The information includes footage from upcoming games, tester videos, screenshots, concept art, sales figures for games that Insomniac sold before. Other studios are also affected as well. I believe we have a little bit of information from Bluepoint. We're not getting to that specifically on this segment. As well as unverified, at least from what I can tell, claims of employee personal data up to and including like passports and travel expenses being leaked. Though I have yet to see anyone actually say they have seen definitive proof of that. However, I am willing to believe that might be the case because 15 terabytes is quite a bit of data, and it sounds like the ransomers just kind of busted into Insomniac and took whatever they can find. It wasn't like a surgical strike. It was just copy hard drive and go kind of situation. So I would not be surprised if that actually turned out to be the case, but I have yet to see any confirmation of that. Let's go ahead and move on to the story here from the article directly. The Rocksteady ransomware gang has posted a trove of Insomniac Games' internal data to its darknet leak site following the passing of its ransom deadline. The data totals 1.67 terabytes and includes 1.3 million files. I don't know why I was saying 15 terabytes earlier. That's just the number that was in my head. Forgive me. Including many that appear to belong to Insomniac's upcoming Wolverine game. The gang has said in its leak posted that, quote, not sold data was uploaded. Data hunters enjoy. And it appears that some data was, in fact, sold to an enterprising bidder. Only 98% of the full data has been uploaded. This is what makes me think that maybe employee personal information did get out, and that would be something that people would be willing to buy because they can use that for all kinds of fraudulent shit. Heart goes out to everyone affected by this, by the way. This is a little bit more damning than a traditional game leak when you just have, oh no, here's the trailer that we're going to show off a year from now, or even the Capcom link, which detailed their stuff for the next 4 or 5 years. From what I understand, and if it is to be believed, you have like personal details, payment information, health insurance information coming out on employees that were working at Insomniac. So this is especially damning, not just from like a corporate view, but on a personal level, because you've had a lot of people's privacy violated in this one. That said, I do not necessarily agree with some game outlets' decision not to cover this. This is news. You are in the job of covering news. And honestly, when it was Capcom, who also had personal information come out, or was any number of other people whose personal information comes out, y'all were on it like white on rice. The only reason why Insomniac seems to be kind of getting a little bit of a pass is because a lot of games media is friendly with Insomniac employees. Understandable. You don't want to shit on your friends when they're having a bad day, but you do have to do your jobs. But that is going to be another conversation for another time. Let's go ahead and go back to the leak itself. Rocksteady initially made the threat to publish on December 12th after publishing limited proof of hack material, including passport scans, and was asked about $2 million for the data. Any buyer, including Sony, was welcome to bid. By the way, they keep saying passport scans, but I still have not seen anyone actually verify that much of it. But I do believe it is the case. It's just when I go, I don't want to say go looking for it because I wasn't necessarily going looking for it, but people who have gone through the data can't seem to verify it either, but maybe it has been by now. Anyways, moving on. The files were uploaded in 3 parts, each linked to an online data catalog. Looking for the first set of data alone reveals a wide selection of level design and character materials, even design images and JPEGs, all from the Wolverine game. This is where they have like very basic animation cutscenes that you can see. There's a very basic animation cutscene of the teaser trailer that was shown, I want to say a year ago at this point. A couple of bits of gameplay, but I'm talking like very basic animation. And it sucks to have all this out because you already have people out there judging the game on what is very clearly like pre-alpha stage. It is the basic building blocks of what's going on. It's like saying a movie sucks when you're just looking at storyboard. Not just storyboard, but storyboard with like no dialogue on there. And people are already kind of tearing into it. Keep your powder dry on this one, guys. Come on. This game is still like a year and a half to 2 years out at minimum. Maybe even longer after all this. We'll see. Back to the article. Where was I at? Haha. The leak also includes many files from Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 video game, as well as internal HR documents such as I-9 employment forms and termination documents. Internal screenshots of Insomniac Slack channels are included, and the contents of several employees' PCs have also been published. That's the exceptionally fucked up part of this entire thing, right? It's more than just, oh no, company gets its marketing spoiled for the next 10 years. It is like tax information, disciplinary action, conversations in Slack, which are going to be far more laid back, you would figure. There might actually be lawsuits aimed at Sony from employees over this one. I don't know the actual particulars of the law in this case, but I would imagine employees in Insomniac might be able to make a case of mishandling of personal and private information. Because if they have that, you can also imagine they might have like health insurance information, tax information with, the I-9 employment forms. They might have information to like payroll, direct deposit information, and I'd be willing to bet that's the stuff that got bought. That Rocksteady did not fully leak out, is that they ended up buying that some nefarious group somewhere bought those items. Moving back on to the article itself. Of particular interest to gamers who are fans of X-Men as a publishing agreement between Marvel and Sony Interactive Entertainment signed by both Isaac Perlmutter, Marvel's chairperson of entertainment, and Jim Ryan, Sony's president, former president. I believe he has retired or is about to retire. Don't remember exactly which right now. The document is effective July 26, 2021, and lists 3 upcoming X-Men games to be published under the agreement, with the full screen Wolverine and the rest unnamed. But this document does not go into release dates and costings, as well as many other details. Wolverine is expected to be published no later than 1st of September 2025, while the other 2 are to come before December 31st, 2029 and December 31st, 2033. So a 10-year agreement with Marvel to make multiple X-Men games, Wolverine being the first. Who knows what else is coming up, but we do have some information as the leak is being disseminated online right now. First up right here, it seems that we have an idea of what Insomniac's future timetable is going to be. I'm going to kill my camera for this one so you can see directly underneath me here. Yeah, it's Spider-Man 2 launch on there, but you also have Marvel's Venom coming up, which seems to be along the lines of how Miles Morales was. A smaller, self-contained game set in the Spider-Man universe, kind of meant to tide you over between 2 and 3. The aforementioned Wolverine game and Spider-Man 3 we both knew about, but it also seems like they're making a new Ratchet & Clank game and that aforementioned X-Men game, along with a new IP sometime in 2031. that is a little unfortunate to see them finally focusing on a new IP. What, 7 years from now? It seems like Insomniac is going to be a Marvel studio for the better part of next decade, which is a damn shame. However, one of the things that you need to take a look at, and we'll get into a little bit later, is the fact that whenever Insomniac makes something that isn't Marvel, it tends not to do that well. The Marvel games are where the money's at, so they are just a Marvel studio now. So if you had any hopes of them actually branching out anytime soon to something that wasn't Marvel, well, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case, at least not for the next few years. We also had some word that might be interesting on how the next Spider-Man game's coming out. Not Venom, but specifically Spider-Man 3. There was the slide here that was released that seems to suggest they might be chopping it up into two parts. Spider-Man 3 Part 1 and Spider-Man 3 Part 2, a la Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. This strikes me as the kind of bullshit that Sony would absolutely do, is to take one full game and chop it up. If you look at the chart here, they even go, hey, we have Spider-Man 3 as a single title, which would come out in holiday 2027. We'll probably get about 15 million units sold, and it will be $69.99 per pop. Or, haha, what if we did Part 1 and Part 2 and released them a year apart? Then we can take the same game, we'll sell it at a discount for $49.99 a pop, and make $100 total of it instead. That's some insidious shit. $100 per 2 copies. And then you have the multiplayer stuff that you can tack on for an additional $40 or $50 day and date right there. And then, a couple years later, you release it in the combo pack, both in the same game, for another $49.99, $59.99 rather. That is some insidious ass marketing there, Sony. And let's be real here too. It's not 100% Sony. Their bean counters at Insomniac too, and they definitely see dollar signs on the wall. The question is whether or not the superhero craze, which already seems to be on the downswing when it comes to the cultural zeitgeists right now, is it going to maintain until 2029? Another, what, at the earliest, 2027 would be, I'm looking at things here, it's 4 years now? 5 years for Part 2? 6 years for the combo? Are we going to be that into superhero games by then? This is the problem when your games get so massive and you start planning on things on 10-year timetables. By the time you launch something, people might have moved on. And superhero fatigue is absolutely a thing at the moment. Just look no farther than the collapse of the MCU to really see that people are just moving away from non-stop superhero shit. Which is what really distresses me about Insomniac. I was hoping for maybe them to return some of their older IPs, and we're not even getting that. Or just make something new. We're not going to get that. I don't mean to be kicking them when they're down. They've had a horrendous day, to be clear, and I don't want to be the guy twisting the knife when it's in their back at the moment. But at the end of the day, this is newsworthy, and it must be reported on it. And this specifically is just disheartening. The idea that they might chop that Spider-Man 3 up into 2 parts. Now, why is Insomniac consistently going back to the wealth of superhero games? Well, we also had some information on the rate of returns, or return on investment rather, of their previous games. You can see that Miles Morales, 10 million lifetime units sold so far, 122% rate of return on investment. That is huge. Huge. Yeah, that is insane that it made that much money, that much return on investment. Take a look at the Spider-Man 1 remaster, 50% return on investment. Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3 is projected to have a 75% return on investment. Those last two are projections. And the Wolverine, once again, I'll kill my camera, 40% return. But take a look at the one non-Marvel game in that list, Ratchet and Clank. It lost money. Also buried in these leaks is information showing on how much money Insomniac made on some of their other games. And if you look at Fuse, they made absolutely no money on that. If you look at Sunset Overdrive, they made like $550 on it. Not 550 million, $550. Now, that is, of course, after the publisher takes their cut and all the other agreed contractual obligations are taken care of. But the money Insomniac took in for Sunset Overdrive was just over $500. Yeah, I wouldn't make new IP either. Why? Why would I spend 4 years making Sunset Overdrive and make only $500 for my company when I could fucking make Miles Morales, a game that is good but was already using pre-existing assets from the previous Spider-Man game, and get a 150% return on investment? 122, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, no way. Of course I'm going to be doing that again and again and again. And they are with Venom and Wolverine and Spider-Man 3 and the X-Men game and the other X-Men game. Insomniac's a superhero studio now, and they're going to be doing nothing but cranking out Marvel games. And I would love to see them go back to, like, I was about to say Infamous, but I believe that's Sucker Punch, so I'm going to back off on that. But I would love to see them go back to some other stuff. And they just... Why? There is no financial incentive for them to. So I get it. It sucks. It's annoying. I am so tired of superhero games. I'm specifically tired of Marvel and DC superhero games. I would love to have like another Infamous. Once again, that's not Insomniac, that's someone else. But I would love to see something like that, or another Sunset Overdrive. Don't make money. But I do think putting all of your eggs in one basket, like Insomniac seems to be doing, they're going all in on Marvel. And I just don't think, I think that the returns on those are going to be significantly less than what you're getting right now, as superhero fatigue would have fully set in within a decade. But yes, that is just the tip of the iceberg of the massive Insomniac leaks. 1.3 million files. A lot of that's going to be junk data. A lot of it's going to be pointless. A lot of it's going to be stupid little Word files that have no information in there. But it is going to take time for people to comb through it all. And there will be more bits of information leaking out. Once again, I want to stress, this is absolutely devastating for people who work at Insomniac. To see all the hard work that you've been putting into this Wolverine game getting launched and people are judging it in the state it's in now is disheartening. It is demoralizing. On top of all of that, to have personal information leaked, that means you're having to contact banks, lenders, medical institutions, insurance companies to go, hey, my shit's out there. What can we do to kind of mask this? Do we have to create a new account? It is such a burden and a hassle, and to have it happen during the holidays, during a year when no job seems to be really all that secure right now with layoffs everywhere. It has been while 2023 has been very good for games in many respects, when you have like the bangers we've had this year, multiple considerations for game of the year, not just like, oh, it's clearly going to be this one, but like, no, we have a real discussion on quality titles this year. This might be one of the best years for gaming when it comes to releases we've had in a very long time. But it's also a year that has been plagued with mass layoffs, uncertainty around, canceled projects, mergers and acquisitions, which lead to redundancies, uncertain futures, where it really does feel like a lot of these studios have now blown their load and they have nothing more loaded up in the cannons at the moment. There is an uncertainty and definitely a malaise as well hanging over the entirety of the industry. And to have all of that happening this year and to cap it off with this leak, it is not a good time to be a game developer, I'll tell you that much right now. And like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I fully expect more. We're already seeing some information that was from Insomniac that leads to details about other studios. We have a few hints on what Bluepoint might have been working on. Not Bloodborne tune, by the way. There's some concept art going around from them. There's some scuttlebutt about what Sony was thinking about the Activision deal and how they realized that they're in major trouble come 2027, I believe it said. When they realize, hey, our online pillars are way behind what everyone else is right now. So it's going to get really bad for us if we don't immediately play catch up, which is part of probably Jim Ryan's big push to go fully online with a lot of stuff. And the games I was first thing, because that was him trying to reconcile the fact that they're not going to have Call of Duty forever. This is bad. And it is only going to get worse. And as much as I would love to have some good news for you today, it is just going to be bad story after bad story after bad story as we move on to our next story from Game Informer. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League story spoilers leak online. Rockstar has responded. That's right. Yet another leak, but this time focused around Rocksteady's Kill the Justice League. A little bit more controlled as it came from a beta test. A lot of recorded dialogue, a few cutscenes made it on the internet. Essentially, it seems like the entire story for this game is out now too. So if you're looking forward to enjoying the story to Kill the Justice League, I'd highly recommend. Well, I don't want to say stay offline because the game's a couple months out. You're not going to be stay offline that long, but just be aware. The entirety of the plot seems to be out there right now. Once again, no spoilers on our end. If you're looking for, this is from Game Informer, by the way. If you're looking forward to playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, especially to experience stories, your time on the internet just got a little bit harder. Some big plot points have leaked out online. Naturally, developer Rocksteady isn't happy. Apparently, the leaks stem from a closed beta test in which audio from a pivotal story cutscene puts images and videos showing yet-to-be-revealed characters got out into the wild. We won't share the details, but they're not hard to find, so you're on your own if you want to know more. We just ask that you refrain from posting any spoilers or comments out of respect to others who wish to remain in the dark. Rocksteady also posted a statement on their X account. It is what we see with all of these leak statements saying, hey, the game's out in a couple months. Unfortunate this happened. Please don't go looking up so you don't spoil yourselves. Please don't go ruin it for other people. This statement will fall on deaf ears. You're always going to have assholes who are going to try to spoil things for you. It's just the nature of the business. They do have to make some kind of statement acknowledging what happened. It's all a shadow play, though. We all know what's going to happen. They come out and say, we regret this happened. Please don't spoil it. People go out of the way to spoil things. If there's anything of the details that will upset a fan base, the fan base will hear about it, regardless if they're trying to avoid it or not, and it will escalate from there. And it seems like this happens to be the case with Suicide Squad. Not as bad as the Last of Us 2 story leak, but there seem to be a lot of pissed off people with somehow the story is going on. Now, it might be a bit premature because you only know parts of the story. Yeah, you might have had it spoiled, you might have had the ending spoiled, but it's not like you see from A to Z, and that can affect things a little bit. But the general reception to the Suicide Squad was already kind of rocky to begin with. It seems like its opinion has dropped even further. So, unfortunate for the devs at Rockstar. I guess the only bit of comfort that can be given to them is that the Insomniac Leak has kind of buried news of this underneath that, because that one was so much more massive than this. That said, I would also be highly concerned if I was working at Rocksteady to spend this long making a game that seems almost destined to fail at this point. And I don't want it to, but reception seems to be exceedingly lukewarm. And I will just add this one thing before we move on to the next story. There is a reason why Sefton Hill left Rocksteady before this game. And my gut tells me it is because he wanted to dodge the bullet when it finally does drop. Anyways, let me know if you're excited for this one down below, by the way. What is the general tenor for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? I remember when I saw that first trailer, I was hyped. But as more details started to come out about being games as a service, and it had that weird... they showed that gameplay, and it had like that Destiny feel to it, and my hype level started precipitously falling as every new bit of information that comes out about this game, I'm less and less hyped for. Which might actually work out into its favor if I go in with tampered expectations, as you all should. I enjoy it a little bit more. Once again, like I said, the hits are going to keep on coming today as we move here from a statement from Naughty Dog about The Last of Us Online and its cancellation. It's a bad time. However, there is some, I think there's a wise decision here. Going to the statement itself. We realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on the game. We know this will be tough for many, especially our dedicated Last of Us factions community who have been following multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studios we were looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share some background with how we came to this decision. Typical flurry language, I'm going to cut right to the meat here. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development of future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us. Become a solely live service game studio or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. They chose the latter. The right call in my decision. Games as service is death for a studio. Look no further than Bungie. By the way, how you doing there, Pendergast? Good to have you. Look no further than Bungie and their now albatross above their heads that is called Destiny. Games as a service requires non-stop, around-the-clock work to maintain and produce a steady stream of content that voracious gamers will consume faster than you can make, and then start making claims of dead game. It is a spiral that not even the developers of Fortnite can keep up with anymore, as they are starting to bleed more and more money. As Fortnite starts to become less profitable, it turns into a death spiral. I'm not saying Fortnite's anywhere near that point, but even the mighty will be brought low by this model. It is extremely costly. It requires thousands of people to support, millions and millions of dollars. And if it isn't a huge success, it is all that time wasted. Do not fall into this trap. And this is yet another bit of Jim Ryan's legacy. And I think this is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, he was actually forced out of Sony. Yes, I know the official word is he's retiring, but let's be real here. No CEO just leaves a position on their own accord. Typically. You might get someone like Reggie who's just like, yeah, I've been doing it for years. I'm old. I'm going to enjoy my life somewhere else. Scuttlebutt is Jim Ryan was forced out. And there's a reason why you're starting to see all this backing off of games as a service now that he is leaving. Take a look at chat here real quick. Lord Crush says, I've heard some things about the Suicide Squad leaks, and I don't want to potentially spoil it, but if the leaks are legit, and they seem to be, I wouldn't think about getting it. Yeah, that seems to be what the general tenor of the internet is right now, is that people were already down on the game after its games as a service announcement, down even more so after seeing that gameplay trailer, and hearing the story has people even more grumbly about it, for sure. No, not a Suicide Squad movie, but there is a Suicide Squad game coming out there, Pendergast. Games as a service is a trap. People look at Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto Online, and their investors go, why aren't you making that much money? So they spend all the time, resources, manpower making something, when in reality, most games of the service are going to fail horrendously within the first year. Anthem, Babylon's Fall, I'm blanking out on so many of them, but you guys know the list is myriad. It's folly to chase it. It really is. Now, that's not going to prevent some games from adding games as service stuff into it. Hell, Ubisoft's been toying around with this idea for years now with their weird little Assassin's Creed online bits that they have on there. And look at the state of that company right now, where their games got so bloated trying to add in extra little nickel and dimey bits that they can't seem to release a good game now to save their life. It's a trap. It commits your studio to doing one and only one thing. And when that one thing finally is no longer popular, that studio is fucked because they have nothing else to fall back on. It's why I'm concerned about Insomniac and their seemingly big pivot to just simply Marvel games. That Marvel craze dries up. What you doing next? Do you have anything else in the pipe ready to go? I don't think so. It's a problem. That's kind of why I'm worried about Naughty Dog. They seem to have put the Uncharted series down and have been just cranking out The Last of Us over and over and over again. Although rumor is that there might be an Uncharted coming up with, well, spoilers for 4. I'm not going to get into it though. You need that little bit of variety. Even League of Legends developer Riot realizes, hey, we only have League, so let's make some other games. Now they're all in that League universe, but they have like a role-playing game out there, for example, and some other stuff. They're trying to expand their wheelhouse, so when the inevitable happens, because no king rules forever, they have something else to fall back on. And when you're chasing games as a service nonstop, you don't have time to invest into other fallback other fallback positions, rather. And it will kill it. It's going to kill you. There's a reason why Bungie is in such dire straits right now. And they're frantically trying to get Marathon off the ground and make that an extraction shooter. But once again, they're chasing a trend that might not even be around by the time that fucking comes out, because they just chase trends now rather than set them. Anyways, enough of that rant. Let me know if you agree with me down below and all that good stuff. I know that this has been a topic that I have hit multiple times throughout the year, because what I see the results of it, and the results are stories like this here from IGN. 3D Realms and Slipgate Ironworks are the latest Embracer studios to be hit with layoffs. This is what happens when you fuck up at a C-suite level, and it's very, very rarely the executives who are making these decisions who get hit with this. It's always the employees. Once again, to go back to Destiny, the executives, the top branch at Bungie, when asked, "Hey, is executive pay getting cut to maybe save jobs?" They said, "We're not that kind of company." So that's why it's so infuriating to see stuff like this happening, because you know that the people making these calls are never going to be the ones that actually pay for making those calls. To the article itself, as we go on with yet another set of layoffs at Embracer. Embracer Group once again has conducted a round of layoffs, with Duke Nukem creator 3D Realms and Ghost Runner co-developer Slipgate Ironworks being hit per posts on social media by former employees. Employees at both studios took to X to reveal they had been laid off from their jobs, including Michael Markey, a lead composer at both studios, and Patrick Hewitt, a 3D artist. Scott Miller, founder of 3D Realms, said in a post that he had several sources tell him the layoffs were happening, particularly at 3D Realms headquarters in Denmark. This one hits me hard because I worked with the new 3DR from 2014 up until when they were bought out by Embracer 2.5 years ago, Miller wrote. It is currently unclear how many people were affected, but Miller wrote that he heard half the company had been laid off. Now, Embracer wasn't necessarily chasing the games as a service. What they did do, though, was something equally stupid. They massively overextended. They started buying up smaller studios and IPs at breakneck speed and didn't do anything with them. They were a company that was relying solely on venture capital to remain afloat, hoping that eventually they'll start cranking out enough games to take over those angel investors coming in. So when the Saudi Public Investment Fund pulled out of their $2 billion deal to help keep Embracer afloat, of course fireworks are going to go off. Of course studios are going to get closed. And of course Lars Wingfor, who I believe is the CEO of Embracer, won't feel a single fucking repercussion from his short-sighted, brain-dead maneuvering. But the now thousands of people that he has had to fire because of his fucking moronic leadership certainly will. And if you thought we were going to end on some kind of positive news, this here from TMZ, Max Payne star James McCaffrey dies at 65 after a battle with cancer. Now, for those of you who might not know who this man is, he is the voice actor for Max Payne, not the facial model. That's Sam Lake, the creator of the game. But he was the voice of Max Payne, as well as Alex Casey from Alan Wake 2, and the former head of the Bureau of Control from Control, whose name escapes me at this moment. Forgive me. But he has worked with many a game through Remedy. You would recognize his voice if you were to hear it. To the article from TMZ itself. James McCaffrey, an actor best known for voicing popular video game character Max Payne, has died of a battle of cancer, TMZ has learned. A rep for the star tells McCaffrey passed away Sunday surrounded by friends and family, and we're told he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma and that he ultimately succumbed to the disease. He was on many of us TV shows as well. I want to say the biggest thing that he was on was Rescue Me, you know, the Dennis Leary firefighter show that was on FX there for a few years. But most gamers are going to know him, like I said, from Alan Wake, Max Payne, Control. He might have been in Quantum Break as well. He worked very closely with Remedy. And to have him pass so close to Alan Wake 2 getting so much love is unfortunately tragic and kind of casts a little bit of a shadow over what would have otherwise been a very good year for Remedy. Condolences go out to, of course, friends and family, anyone that might have known him. And I really just have nothing to say, unfortunately. This has been a horrendous day for video games. All of this happening roughly within 48 hours of each other. It was not a good one, and it is one hell of a way to end the year, right? I do have one more show scheduled. It will be the 26th. I don't know if there's going to be any news to actually cover about. If not, we'll fill it in with something. Either way, I will be streaming at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, like I try to do every Tuesday, and you're all more than welcome to show up here and join us live, like many of you do. Can't join us live, however, we are up on a myriad of video hosting platforms, Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, etc. So come on by and let us know what you think about these topics we're discussing today. You can follow me on X at CapitalistPig21. You can join our Discord server down below, where I keep all the links to the stories we talked about as well. And you can come on by here at Twitch TV/GamePoints to catch me streaming any myriad of games. Hearts of Iron, Stellaris, indie stuff here and there, occasionally first-person shooter, horror games typically as well. Whatever strikes my fancy at the time. I'd love to see you there. If you like what you saw here, you know what to do. Like, spits, follow, sub, shares. You've been on the internet long enough to know what to do when you enjoy someone's content and want to support them. Thank you all for showing up, and until next time, I'm out of here.